In this video, I'm going to show you how to navigate around 3D space. Now, before we start learning how to do that, I'd like to point out that I'm using a 3-button mouse, a mouse that has a left mouse button, a middle mouse button, and a right mouse button. And this is very important when working inside Maya. There are other ways to navigate, whether you're using a pen tablet or just simply using a 1-button touchpad, but it's highly recommended that you use a 3-button mouse, as that's what I'll be doing throughout these tutorials. And you'll hear me refer to the left mouse button, middle mouse button, or the right mouse button quite a bit. So to move around 3D space, we're going to do something called a tumble, a track, or a zoom. Familiar terms if you've worked with cameras in the past. So to do this, I'm going to hold down the Option key or the Alt key on my keyboard, depending whether you're using a Mac or a PC or the type of keyboard. But it's either the Option or Alt key that you're going to hold down to start navigating. Then I'm going to push the left mouse button and just simply move around so that I can tumble around my scene. And you can pretty much look from any angle. If I push the middle mouse button while holding down the Option or Alt key and move, you can see that I can track around my scene, either left or right, up or down. So left mouse button, I can tumble. Middle mouse button will let me track. And the right mouse button, while holding the Alt or Option key, will let me zoom in to my scene or zoom out. When you do this, I recommend that you move your mouse left or right to zoom in and out. If you move it front and back, you'll notice that it doesn't quite give you exactly what you want to do. So Option and Alt, and move your mouse left and right while holding the right mouse button will let you zoom in and out of your scene. If you have a roller as your middle mouse button, you can actually roll to zoom in and out. But I recommend against this, as when you work inside any digital program, speed is obviously very important to help you be creative. So this rolling process tends to be a little bit slower. Go ahead and just hold the Alt or Option key and press the right mouse button to go ahead and zoom in and out quickly. Now, occasionally when you're working inside this 3D space, you can get lost and just be looking at this endless cloud. Depending on how large or small the objects are in your scene, you may not be able to find anything. And a good keyboard shortcut to remember is the letter A. If you press that, it's going to frame everything in your scene. Now, if you have one thing in your scene off way out into outer space, and they're very, very small, even pressing the letter A might give you a little bit of trouble. But another keyboard shortcut that is important to realize is if you want to focus in on a specific object. So for instance, you'll notice if I'm rotating around this scene, it's essentially focusing on this center point of my grid. That's kind of my center point of rotation. But if I were to come over to this cube over here and rotate, you notice that it's not exactly my center point. Maya does a really good job at focusing the center point on whatever you're kind of looking at, but occasionally you want to be able to jump over to an object quickly and make it the center point. And to do that, all you need to do is click on the object to select it and press the letter F. And you'll see quickly it'll move over to that object. So if I'm sitting out here in outer space and I click on that torus and press the letter F, I'll zoom right in on it and be able to focus all of my attention in on that area, or this cube, and press the letter F. So let's review one more time. Holding down the Alt key, left mouse button to tumble, middle mouse button to track, and right mouse button to zoom in and out. Now, often as I refer to many of the different tools here, I'll bring up the fact that things have changed over the years in different Maya releases, and even though Maya 2008 is still an incredible powerful tool compared to maybe Maya 2011 or 12, there's going to be some things that are clearly different. And one thing is the navigation cube that's been added. If you have an older version of Maya, this might look like a bunch of little arrows with different colors. It's essentially been changed into this viewport cube, which allows you to also navigate around your scene. So we just learned how to navigate independently by holding the Alt key and pressing some of the mouse buttons, but we can actually also click on this cube and drag. So I'm clicking and dragging to move around my scene by clicking and dragging on that cube. But what's powerful about this cube isn't so much the ability to click and drag, because we've already seen how we can manipulate around our scene by holding the Alt key, is the ability to click on certain areas of the cube. And you can see that there's some text on here that says front, top, bottom, left, and right. So if I click on front, it'll automatically orientate my entire scene to the front of this cube that I'm working on. If I have nothing selected and click on front, you'll see that it'll give me the front of the entire scene. Versus if I click on this sphere, or let's see, if I rotate a little bit here and click on this cube and click on front, it'll give me the front of just that cube. So it's a really quick way to navigate around your scene by using this viewport cube. So if I click on a corner, it'll give me the corner of that cube. Top corner, it'll give me the top corner. And again, at any point I can just click and drag to freely navigate around this cube. So I'll click on front again. And you'll see when I hover over this viewport cube, I also have these arrows here which allow me to kind of just rotate in space like that. And at any point I can click the home button, which will take me back to a home setting. You'll notice that there's a small little arrow which gives us a pop-up here, which allows us to customize some of these options. But for right now, I stay away from changing any of the properties as you're learning Maya. Just stay with the default setting. So that's all there is to navigation. I recommend that while you're learning Maya, you basically take a few moments to get comfortable with rotating around your scene, or tumbling, tracking, and zooming inside your scene.